One minute. Okay. Okay, when Madam Mayor is ready.
Okay, thank you for being patient, everybody. We will open the City of Bishop City Council meeting for Monday, October 26, 2020. Our invocation this evening will be by Pastor Father Gracie of Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church here in Bishop. And Pledge of Allegiance will be by Councilmember Karen Schwartz. If everybody would please stand. Father Gracie, whenever you are ready, please.
Okay. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. God, our gracious and loving Father, your love fills our lives with countless blessings. Even the trials of life can manifest your holy presence if we but seek to understand your will in all we do. Guide us in life and in governance, that our words and actions may reflect your holy will and inspire us to use the gifts of this world for your benefit and for the building up of the kingdom of God on earth. Send your Holy Spirit upon us to guide us and inspire us always. We ask this in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. You may be seated, and may we have roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Mahovey,
Here.
Councilmember Ellis,
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Robin, do we have any public comment at this time on matters that are not on an agenda item?
None received.
Okay, thank you. And we will start with our presentations for the evening. We have one presentation, and that is our presentation of Quarterly Beautification Awards. And we have decided, is there somebody, Justin or Elaine, was anybody else? Did you have something else that you wanted to say other than if I just mentioned who we're giving the awards to?
I could go ahead and provide a little background,
Okay.
which is that we typically provide a quarterly beautification award for those businesses that are making in long-term investments that provide enhancements that benefit our entire community and the image of our entire community. And for the award for this quarter, the council wanted to recognize those businesses that have made permanent improvements for outdoor seating. And part of that recognition is that this outdoor seating that they've provided is, aesthetically very pleasing. It makes our downtown look vibrant. But also, during the pandemic, businesses have had to face so many challenges, especially restaurants, with opening and closing and dealing with different protocols. And so these businesses, have made these investments despite all of the difficult circumstances that they've faced over the last many, many months. And they have provided a long-term benefit in making our community more beautiful. They've also provided a short-term benefit in giving our residents and our visitors places to enjoy eating out and being a part of the community. And so that is the background of all the businesses that are being recognized by the council this evening.
Yes, it's been really fun to see the work that they have done. And like you said, Elaine, not only does it look really nice, but it's extremely functional, especially right now But if it, continues, it will continue to be very, very important for the businesses and for the city of Bishop. And then when the weather is really nice, which we have the majority time of the year, it's very inviting for people. I love to sit outside when, even if you need to bundle up or it's great. I just, I'm so glad that we're able to present the beautification awards. And the restaurants to receive those awards are going to be Amigos and El Pollo Loco, Mountain Rambler Brewery, Owens Valley Distillery, Black Sheep Coffee Roasters, Aaron Schott's Roadhouse, and Whiskey Creek. And they all look amazing. And we thank you so much. I'm not sure if we have all of those people representing those businesses with us this evening, but we have beautiful certificates that we would like to present to you. So I believe, Robin, we're going to make arrangements to bring those to the businesses, right?
Right. Rosie's on Zoom right now, as well as Jolene, if you want to ask for any comments from them.
Anybody from the business?
Well, I just
Oh.
wanted to congratulate all the businesses. I know it took a lot of hard work and thought and some capital to make all that happen, but it really does look good. And so we wanted to honor you this way. Thank you.
I'm particularly fond of at Amigos the work that they did on their outdoor furniture where they used recycled pallet wood, because my husband Greg is a real pallet wood creator of some really nice stuff. I thought that's so great to repurpose something that otherwise ends up in the landfill. It's wonderful. Do we have anybody from the businesses that would like to say a quick word this evening?
Yeah, hi, this is Joe. Can you guys hear me?
And hear you, Joe.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the recognition and yeah, it's been a tough year, but I think we'll get through it, and appreciate all the city's efforts on being really adaptive and helping all of us out. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Joe. Thank you.
Can you
Anybody
hear me?
else?
Hi, it's Rosie. This is my first Zoom meeting, so it's a little different, but I do want to extend my great appreciation of the local community. Mr. Rusty, who has been tremendously helpful with getting us that furniture. But other than that, I mean, thank you. The support in the community has been amazing during the last 7 to 8 months. So thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Rosie. Anybody else?
That's it.
All righty. Well, it's our pleasure, and we will get you those beautiful certificates so you can hopefully proudly display them for all to see.
Thank you again. Appreciate it. Good night.
Night, night, Joe. Okay, we will move on then to our department head reports. And I believe our fire chief is attending another Zoom, the EMCC Medical Services Zoom tonight, so we don't have him with us. We have our police chief, Ted Steck.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and council members. I have a much shorter report tonight compared to the last meeting. We've been steady, typical calls for service, a handful of warrant arrests and traffic stops, and assisting outside agencies. And then we have quite a few ongoing investigations to include that pretty spectacular car crash that occurred on Clark Street. And last, we had the privilege of escorting Army Sergeant Tanner Cruz to the VFW. He was quite surprised and thankful for the escort and the reception. It was really something special. That's all I have for tonight, unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Anybody have any questions or comments for Chief Steck? All right, we'll move on then to our Public Works Director, Mr. Destin Deshawn, please.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. First, I'd like to just update you on the Spruce Hanby Sidewalks project. I think Robin's going to put up a few photos for us here. So all the curbs and gutter, cross gutters and spandrels, as you see right here, have been completed, the concrete portion of that. They're going to start paving tomorrow. So all these spots, you will essentially will be out of the middle of the road for the most part, and we'll just be doing sidewalks behind curb. One particular here is that tree I took a picture of right there. And there's a view from the opposite side. That particular tree is going to end up having to come down. It's an older cottonwood tree. It was in the environmental document to be removed along with 3 others right there. We ended up being able to save 2 of them, but that third one falls really close to being in the abutments of the footings for the new pedestrian bridge. So once we start taking that roots out, that tree will be a hazard to fall over there. So we've removed 12 trees now total, but we've replaced or replanted 63 new trees. So the trees are going to be the theme over there. Next off, the Public Works crew did a great job. There's the aging and failing asphalt in the Sunrise Mobile Home Park. They spent a couple of days in there patching stuff with all the seniors that live in there, just trying to make it a safer place for them and get, deferred maintenance again, but we are not forgetting it. Leaf sweeping with the sweepers will start this week. So hopefully everybody knows odd numbered addresses on Wednesdays and the even number address sides of the streets on Thursdays. And I guess I've been spending a ton of time trying to get the BAWA going, and everybody has that's involved with it, but trying to get a consultant on board and meeting state guidelines. So it's keeping me quite busy. But other than that, I think that's all I have for tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
Okay, we like keeping you busy, Dustin.
Yeah.
Do
Me
good
too.
work. Anybody have any questions or comments for Dustin? No, all right. Thank you, especially for the pictures.
Welcome.
All righty, we'll move on to our Community Services Manager, Dan McElroy, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I know my picture's a little fuzzy. I'm having a little trouble with my camera right now. So just a quick update from Community Services. As you guys know, we had another wind event come through our town last night, which left a lot of debris for our crews to clean up. So Waylon, Sam at City Hall, as well as our park staff are working generally on cleanup right now and getting all the leaves and branches and everything cleaned up. In our programming side, of course, is we have our trunk or treat event this weekend on Saturday. It'll kick off at 5 p.m. to the public and close up at about 8 o'clock. We've been working with the fairgrounds in Inyo County to make sure that not only do we have the space, but the event is going to be safe. Right now I have 13 volunteers. I think Carrie has about another 6 through the high school. So everybody that's going to volunteer, we definitely appreciate the help. And we're looking forward to a great event this weekend. Next up is we had, of course, some challenges at the after school program. Last week, there was a couple of potential exposures for COVID-19, but we were prepared for those and we worked through those. Of course, with help from Inyo County as well. And then next up is just a construction update, but Dustin covered most of that. And I'd like to say thank you to the Public Works crews for doing the patching at Sunrise Mobile Home Park as well. And then just looking forward to working with Elaine on a couple of grants, of course, closing up our Prop 68 per capita, and then looking for a future with Prop 68 for some development in the city park. And lastly, we have our Parks and Rec Commission this week at Wednesday at 5:15 p.m. If anybody has any questions or comments for me, I'd love to answer them.
All righty, thank you, Dan. Anybody have any questions or comments for Dan right now?
Yeah, Dan, I have a quick question. I remember a while back, the Parks and Rec committee was looking into a grant application for the baseball fields. Do you have any update on what came of that, or if that's still in the works?
I'm sure it's still in the works. It's it's what we call the MLB grant,
Right.
and that would be written through our local association, through Little League, and through AYSO can apply for it too. But those groups are working on it, and I'm pretty sure that it's kind of fallen through the cracks for them at this point. You know, we did do a 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year plan for them, and gave them basically everything that they needed to move forward. But I'm pretty sure that it's kind of gone by the wayside. Those grants are upwards of $11 million as well. So I will touch base with them, and hopefully I can give you a report back to the council.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else for Dan? I just want to thank everybody that's working towards the trunk or treat, the drive-through trunk or treat. It's just great that we can offer an alternative for kids, because everybody knows, you know, in just about every state, city, county, they're discouraging trick or treating, even the traditional trunk or treating. And so to offer a safe alternative, it's just great that kids will have something to participate in. Thanks, Dan, and all your volunteers and staff. Okay, we'll move on to our Associate Planner, Economic Development Coordinator, Elaine Kabala, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have my first update this evening is with regards to the downtown specific plan and mixed use overlay. Robin, am I ready to share my screen? Okay, so bear with me. I'm gonna see if I can do that. So we received the internal draft of the downtown specific plan and mixed use overlay alternatives. And this document is intended to reflect the feedback that we received from the community during the workshops that were held in sort of late July, on July 22nd, July 23rd. And there's several alternatives that they're proposing that include things like the development standards to accommodate mixed use, like parking and potentially increasing height. And then on the specific plan side, developing signage guidelines and design guidelines. And so I have shared that draft with your council for feedback. It is internal at this time. It's not yet ready for public review. But I wanted to go ahead and just share some of the renderings that the consultants had prepared as part of that document, which show what the new standards for downtown could look like at full build out. So let's see if I can go through these. There we go. Okay, so this is Line and Main Street as it is currently. And then this is sort of an artist rendering of what it might look like incorporating the standards that are being proposed in the document. This is looking at West Pine Street as it is currently. And then this is a rendering of what it could potentially look like in the future, incorporating the mixed use overlay design standards, as well as the specific plan recommendations for enhancements, for pedestrian improvements and bicycle improvements, as well as design standards and signage standards. Here we are on Main Street in front of the Joseph's Market. And this is an artist rendering of what that might look like in the future. And you can see, in addition to the splashy artwork, the buildings in the background have also all increased in height. And then finally, this is another view of Main Street and a final artist rendering of what that might look like if Bishop allowed construction up to 3 stories on Main Street. So these are just pretty pictures at this time. We're working with the consultants to do the next round of public input. So before this the proposed mixed use overlay document is adopted, we're going to take the alternatives back out to the public to get their feedback to see if this is accurately reflecting the vision the community has for Bishop. And then there will also be public hearings at the Planning Commission and the City Council for additional refinement and hopefully eventual adoption. I'm really excited. The consultants, instead of proposing to do outreach over Zoom, this time we're looking to do something that's in person and will be COVID safe. Right now we're looking at potentially taking over one of the vacant storefronts downtown as a pop-up design space, and people will be allowed to come in and interact directly with the consultants and provide feedback on the renderings and the policies in person, and we'll observe all social distancing protocols to make sure that that's safe. But I'm really excited because I think it'll provide more opportunities for people to participate and provide feedback. We don't have a date set for that, but we will be sure to do lots of public outreach through local media and through our mailing lists, and obviously through the council once we have that date established, but look for that to be in about mid-November. Also wanted to let you know that we are launching the further public outreach for the Whitney Alley project this week. Planning Commission meeting for tomorrow was canceled. We did have an application, but the applicant withdrew his application on the basis of some concerns that we were getting. He was requesting to reduce parking, and now he'd like to reconfigure his site plan and the designs to try and accommodate the parking that he needs on site. And then finally, just a quick update on Silver Peaks. AMACA is continuing to work with the Department of Housing and Community Development to do what needs to be done there to draw down their loan and finalize the escrow on the Silver Peaks property. So that concludes my department head report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Elaine. Anybody have any comments or questions for Elaine?
I just really love those renderings, so we can actually have you can start seeing what the vision is for the downtown. I mean, it'd look awesome if we could do something like that.
It's exciting to see what we could look like, right, Stephen?
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that part of our grant application was also to have the consultants try and identify funding sources so we could hopefully bring some of these to reality. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Elaine, how long before you can get those buildings up? And do you have to go through Rusty's to get to those nice apartments upstairs? Oh, good job.
Yeah, to be determined at this time. Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
just firescape in the back.
Yeah, Elaine, I'd like to say the same thing. It's great that Alta has done this, and the facades have that historical touch to it, so Bishop doesn't get lost. But that's the downtown walkability, and that's that memory that we need to create for people. And so excellent, taking it to those second, third stories, creating multi-use, just beautiful work. So thank you.
Thank you. I will pass that along to the consultants.
And the only other thing that I would say is with regards, so there was the one right in front of, it wasn't pine, it's elm, right? Grove, where we see it. You would think that the buildings would obstruct the view of the mountains, but as I look at that rendition, it seems like what obstructs it the most are the power lines.
Yeah. We'll get rid of those someday.
Yeah, if we do construction there, that should probably be mandated to go underground.
That'd be nice. Okay, anybody else? Anything? All righty.
Nice work.
Yeah. All righty, thank you, Elaine. We'll move on to our city administrator, Mr. Ron Phillips. Let's see if he can outdo that, huh?
No way can I outdo that. Madam Mayor, members of the council, thank you. I'm so pleased and proud of our staff's efforts. Really not much I can head to all of the accomplishments that they're achieving right now. And I know that you're happy with them as well. I would like to mention that the county has completed their assessment for issuing small grants to businesses in the county to help overcome the difficulties of the COVID-19 pandemic in the county, and congratulate a couple of council members who received some funds for their businesses. I'm amazed that the county took this on and has done such a great job in distributing those, or at least getting ready to distribute those funds. Jenny Rodrigues, our Assistant Finance Director, and I met today with the employee bargaining groups in our first meeting to update them on the financial situation of the city as of September 30th. It's the same report that's included in your packets, and we had a very positive meeting today and look forward to having those once a month. And I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Phillips. Anybody have any questions or comments for our administrator? All righty, we'll move on then to our Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau update. We have with us the Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau Executive Director, Tawny Thompson. I believe we have Tawny with us, yes?
Yes, good evening.
Yay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I believe we all received your report, which excellent information. And anything that you want to highlight in that?
Just a few things. First, I would like to say thank you to the council for recognizing the businesses that have really gone above and beyond to modify their operations to offer the outdoor seating. Gosh, the businesses have been through so much since March, and I'm just so proud of all of our businesses, the restaurants, the retailers, everyone, for really pivoting. That's the new word, right? Pivot these days, and sticking with it, and working so hard to keep serving our community. So thank you for recognizing them. It's really great. Also, thanks to Dan and Carrie and Jen at the fairgrounds for putting on the trick or treat event, the drive-through event. The Chamber of Commerce is actually going to have a booth and pass out candy. We won't be in the super scary section, but we will be there participating, and we're really looking forward to it. Plus, we hope that'll give us some insights into how we may be able to modify the Christmas parade to a drive-through type event. So by participating in this one, we're hoping to learn, and then hoping to be able to put something together for our community in December. So, and then kind of the one big thing I did want to highlight from our strategic planning meeting that we had a few weeks ago, and that is, for the first time in a very long time, our board of directors had a long discussion and voted to actually update our mission statement to include responsible recreation as part of our core mission statement. So it now reads, it is the mission of the Bishop Chamber of Commerce to promote business, tourism, responsible recreation, and the greater Bishop area for the benefit of the community and its residents. So the board really felt it was time and very important to add in the idea of not just promoting tourism, but to promote the right kind of tourism that fits with keeping our assets nice and respecting our cultural values of our community. So pleased with that. So if you have my report, I don't know if you have any questions about any of the details that were in it. Happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Tawny. Anybody have any questions or comments for Tawny? The only question I have, Tawny, is do you have a potential date when the visitor center may open again?
No, we're tiptoeing into that territory. we are, now we have a sign on the door that says, if you'd like to come in, please knock loudly and we'll, let them in, one or two at a time, a couple at a time, not mixed groups. They must be in the same family. With the two big obstacles we have is the very limited space, and we don't really have good airflow there. And also budget. So Joe is primarily working just in the afternoons. So when he's available to let people in person, then he does. So we're just kind of playing it day by day. We are still virtually open. And by that, I mean, we answer all of the voice messages and the email messages daily, except on Sundays. So we're doing our very best.
Yeah.
With what we got.
Yeah. Well, that's good that if somebody really, really wants to get in, they can.
And, interestingly, we started an online souvenir shop, and we've actually had a handful of sales, and one that actually turned into be a really, really good customer that bought a whole bunch of products that they're going to be giving out as Christmas gifts. So we're getting there. But we do want to help people in person. It's just a matter of staffing and the safety issues. So
yeah, right. All righty. Anything else for Tawny from anybody? Okay, thank you so much, Tawny. Now we'll move on to our Eastern Sierra Tri-County Fairgrounds quarterly update. And for that, we have the Chief Executive Officer, Jen McGuire, with us. I believe we have Jen, right? Jen, are you with us? Do you see Jen on board, Robin?
Jen is on board, but she's muted.
Ah.
Just ask her to unmute herself, so hopefully she can do that. There she is. She's connecting now.
Okay. Everybody probably got Jen's excellent report, right? Hopefully.
And Jenny, if you want to enable your video, we'll be able to see you. But if not, at least we can hear from you. Currently connecting to our audio system.
Madam Mayor, there may be some difficulty with her internet connection. I don't know.
Yeah, looks like it maybe.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, yay. I had to log on and log back off. I apologize. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. Thanks for having me on this meeting. We are alive and well at the Tri-County Fairgrounds. We've established a new theme, which is rethink, reimagine, and recreate, just as basically everyone in America has had to do. One thing for sure is we are community oriented and we're fueled by volunteers. Without the volunteers, I would not be here. This place would not look as great as it does today, and I am so thankful for that. Only thing I really want to highlight in my report is, I think everybody knows by now we're doing the tailgate and drive-through events, and that's going to be the theme for a while, especially at the fairgrounds, is anything that's drive-through and tailgate oriented. We've got some great entertainment lined up. Of course, October is Scary Movie Month, and we have the Halloween event. We just added a Selena tribute show on November 8th on a Sunday afternoon, and we'll end the season with the Led Zeppelin tribute on November 14th. So hopefully we'll see some familiar faces out there for that. What's exciting about this drive-in style is that people are starting to actually see their events in a different light. They're starting to see them, how they can host their annual fundraisers drive-in style and not just cancel it. So believe it or not, I'm getting quite a few mammoth organizations that want to come down and have their fundraisers here in Bishop, which before they would never come to Bishop to host their fundraiser, drive-in style. So I'm excited about that. So that's going to be a a great revenue driver for us to be able to rent out the drive-in area. And it opens up doors for other opportunities within our community as well. Other than that, you know, I think again everybody knows the drive-in. Something I'm really proud of is it was basically built by 4 of us, and we used recycled materials on grounds. It's stuff that I just would not let people throw away, and I'm really proud of it. It's homegrown, and that's what makes it unique. And again, like I said, I think we'll continue the tradition on through the spring, long as we can continue moving on. Upcoming events, we're going to try to keep the holiday traditions alive any way we can. Like Tanya had mentioned, you know, drive-in style. It's great to see the wide open spaces of the ground being utilized by different groups, dance groups, music groups. I love the youth music groups here. You can just hear the kids out there playing their violins out on the grass and the grounds. It's really nice to see the fairgrounds being utilized as a true community center as it was designed to be. So that's really good. The downfall is our budget, of course, just like everyone else. You know, our revenue is way down. Going into 21, it's going to stay down. 21 for us will be worse than 20, only because we're not going to have some resources we had in 20. These states going to do away with some of the event revenue protection programs. They've depleted those funds. We're not currently receiving any relief from the state at the moment. We're still campaigning to get relief from the governor's office, but as of right now, there's nothing in the horizon for us. But the good thing is that we're a small community, we're a small fairgrounds, and we will live on. So that's okay. We've learned to rethink and reimagine, like I said. So nothing's going to stop us. Some of the current revenue sources that I've really highlighted this year is obviously our RV park and campground. I've really increased that this year, and then storage. I've just advertised heavily for storage, and it's really it's actually proven its selling point. And of course, the drive-in area that brings a little bit of money, but not a lot. The drive-in was really just designed to kind of give the community something to do, an outlet. People are frustrated with the whole COVID situation, so it kind of gave them an outlet to kind of get out and do something family style and in a safe environment, most importantly. And that really kind of sums it up for now for us. One thing I just got word just a few hours ago is that we are being nominated for quite a few industry awards this year. We're one of the fairgrounds we're still climbing. You know, so a lot of the fairgrounds are doing a huge nosedive. We're still climbing, so I'm proud of that. We're climbing not so much in revenue areas, but in different areas, especially at the state level. So once I get a list of some of those awards we're being nominated for, I'll make sure they get shared. But I'm proud of that, you know, Mighty Bishop, we're strong, we're mighty. So
yeah.
Any questions?
Anybody have anything for Jen right now? Questions or comments?
Yeah, quick one. Jen, about a week and a half ago, I was part of the little cleanup, and we met there with the Forest Service in your parking lot. And I was bored, so I thought I'd go pick up trash around your area. Kudos to you and volunteer staff or whoever. I had nothing to do there. It was like almost spotless. So good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, looks great. The board hired the right person to get us through all this, Jen.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, happy to have you here. And thank you for your creativity.
Thank you.
All righty. We will move on now. Thank you, Jen. We'll move on now to our consent calendar, and matters in the consent calendar are considered routine. So we act on them with one motion. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the consent calendar?
I actually have one question on item 8, the letter to the Forest Service supervisor. Did that already get sent out or no? Or are we waiting for this to send it out? It already got sent out. So did we get any sort of a response?
I actually, Stephen, right before our meeting, I was getting a phone call from, I believe, the new, I'm not sure if it's the new forest supervisor. Anyway, I have a message.
Leslie?
On
Oh, is that from Leslie?
From the forest service.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I haven't been able to even listen to it. Yeah, it was right when we were going to get started. And I'll give her a call back. Probably not tonight, but in the morning. So
And-
she message.
Yeah, and do we know if the county also sent something similar or if they're willing to?
I believe she, on her message, what little bit I could hear it, I believe she mentioned at their meeting tomorrow. So I'm not sure if she's presenting or if maybe there's something going on at their meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
And I
Chris-
think is writing a letter similar to ours.
Oh, good. Good, yeah. Anybody else have anything on the consent calendar? Did we have any public comment, Robin?
No public comments received.
Okay, anyone care to make a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept the consent calendar as given.
I'll second that.
Thank you, and the vote, please?
Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
All righty, thank you. We'll move on to new business this evening. And item A under new business is the Clark Wing Suite E lease agreement with Judicial Council of California. And I believe Community Services is handling that. Is that you, Dan?
Madam Mayor, I'll speak to this.
Okay, sorry, Dan.
The present area for part of the Superior Court is 880 square feet of office space that has been leased for the last 4 or 5 years by the Judicial Council. The original lease commenced in October of 2015, and they're now wanting to extend that lease for another 5 years. The lease document just arrived late this afternoon from the state, and Attorney Pucci has reviewed it and approved it, and we're recommending that that be approved. And there's some wording that Dean sent me, if I can find it here quickly.
You want me to jump in there?
Yes.
Thanks. So, Madam Mayor, just a quick request if on a motion on this item, if it can be amended to include approval of the execution, if that's the inclination of council, approval of the execution of the agreement and authorization for the mayor and or the city administrator to execute any additional documents that may be required. That was it.
Right, sounds good. Anybody have any questions or comments on this item? Nope, we're all good. How about any public comment received? Robin?
None received.
Thank you. Anybody ready to make a motion then, please?
Make a motion to approve the proposed lease extension agreement and any additional documents with the Judicial Council of California.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Had me worried there for a sec. Okay, can we have the vote,
Was that
please?
Jim? Was that Jim that seconded?
Chris.
Who was that? Chris, thank you, sorry. Okay. Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for Dean to chime in, see if the motion was proper. So that's the only reason it took us a while to say I second it. So yes, for me.
And Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
All righty, thank you. On to new business item B, Eastern Sierra Sustainable Recreation Partnership, otherwise known as ESSRP. And we will receive a presentation on this from our planning. I believe we're back to Elaine Kabala for this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I think that I provided an update on the Eastern Sierra Recreation Partnership when they launched their public outreach back in, unfortunately, March, Marchish. So I'll provide just a brief summary of it again. But in essence, the Sustainable Recreation and Tourism Initiative received a grant in the amount of approximately $618,000, which is being administered by the town of Mammoth Lakes to support the Eastern Sierra Sustainable Recreation Partnership, or the ESSRP. And the intent of the ESSRP was to conduct regional public outreach to identify projects that would support sustainable recreation in the Eastern Sierra region. And the original intent was that they were going to go to each gateway community and hold meetings to get project ideas, and then develop a plan that would provide the foundation to receive grant funding to implement those projects in the future. Obviously, due to COVID, they were not able to do those public outreach meetings, so the whole initiative shifted to an online format. And we are coming to the close of that opportunity for public input. So there is a website that's available. It's www.ESSRP.org, where the public can go, anyone in the Eastern Sierra region can go and submit project ideas for sustainable recreation. And those will then be provided to each of the governments in the region, Mono County, Union County, City of Bishoptown, and Mammoth Lakes, and they'll be prioritized, and then the Sustainable Recreation Tourism Initiative will try and identify funding sources to get these projects accomplished. The deadline to submit these project ideas is October 31st. And Councilmember Schwartz had attended one of their monthly meetings and understood that, I think it was Alpine County, the Board of Supervisors, as a body, submitted project ideas. And so she asked that we would bring this to the council to discuss project ideas the council may want to submit, but also as sort of a public announcement. There hasn't been a lot of projects that have been submitted to the website in the Bishop region, and that our local recreation groups and public have this opportunity to throw their ideas in the ring for the kinds of recreation improvements they would like to see in the Bishop region as well. The council can choose to direct staff this evening to submit project ideas if you have any. There are a few that I've included in the staff report that I will go over very briefly, but there will be subsequent opportunities for the City of Bishop City Council to submit those ideas separate from this public deadline as well. Some of the ideas that Councilmember Schwartz had brought up included natural history kiosks that explain the unique geology of the Eastern Sierra, development of a mountain bike trail that would go from Mammoth to Lone Pine or Mammoth to Bishop, enhancements in bike trails around the Bishop area, working with DWP to provide information and signage on natural history and wildlife along the Bishop Canal, development of campgrounds, potentially in the city park or elsewhere to deal with some of our dispersed camping issues, development of trails from Bishop to Laws, Bishop to the Tablelands, or up to the Bishop Creek trailheads from the city. And those last three ideas have been submitted and are already on the website. So this concludes my overview of this opportunity. At this point, I would invite the council to direct staff to submit any of these project ideas that you may support or any other ideas that you may have at this time. Thank you.
All righty, thank you, Elaine. Anybody have anything that they would like to highlight and endorse for
I just want
staff?
to comment that these are definitely like, pie in the sky ideas. Like you can kind of reach to the stars, and this is the opportunity to not worry about if it's feasible or if it will be funded, or just more of this would be super cool if Bishop had this. Like this is the opportunity. And then once the ESSRP collates all the ideas, they'll look and see what's reasonable and what could be funded and what the public really is supporting. So, I don't think we need to be practical in our ideas right now. It can be much more dreamy.
Yeah, these are beautiful.
Yeah, I think these are great ideas. I wonder, are there many projects that are on there with regards to like, I mean, there must be a bunch with like cleanup and stewardship of high trafficked areas.
I saw some definitely regarding cleanup for sure.
I mean, I'd be happy to endorse a lot of these. I don't, how do we have a process for going about doing that, or?
Yeah, basically, if the council wants to give me direction on this project ideas you endorse, I went on the website last week or week before and looked at the projects that had been submitted and the process for submitting them, and it's really simple. It takes like a minute to do. Oh,
I love any of the biking, walking trails. That's been a long time dream of people around Bishop. Can you just see, like up in Mammoth, you guys know, you probably take that trail that, starts from down by wherever that is, by the creek down there, and you can take it all the way around and you can come back and you can do a whole loop around. I could just see something like that, out to Laws, like it says, and you could have the, kiosk and the highlighting the, the history and the animals and, the wildlife, whatever along the way. It'd be so great.
Councilmember Ellis has raised his hand.
Jim?
Elaine, quick one. Could you add to it? I know when I came into your office about a month ago and discussed the kind of the same thing, that the kiosk, the natural history kiosk, but the downtown kiosks that take the view from the street to a building, show the history of what that building was, a brief history of it, so that people on a walking tour of downtown, it kind of brings them into what Bishop was and what it is now. So if that would be possible, that would be nice.
I put it on the list. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just to say, Jim, that's a good idea. And maybe if it's not practical to, have some kind of thing, on the sidewalk or something like that, saying that we could at least do a virtual tour where people, as they stand in front of places, it would come up on their phone, on the app or whatever, about the location they're at.
I think I'm pretty sure you were there. Stephen was there too. I think I walked you guys through that at League of California Cities meeting in Long Beach, where they actually do that, where you stand there and it morphs the building on your phone into what it was and gives a brief history. So the technology's out there.
And this is going to come back to us again for a more formal submission. Right now, the project is designed really for individuals, but I think it's good that we're talking about it and letting the public know that they still have until the 31st to submit their dreamiest of dreams of what they would like to see here in the Eastern Sierra. So I think, we all can individually go on there and do it. And they made it easy and fast. So I think it's great that we are submitting some stuff, but I also encourage the public and ourselves personally to go in and just pick some project ideas and submit them.
I guess one of my only questions with regards to the projects that are listed here has to do with a campground at the city park. Would that actually fall under ESSRP? And given that most of our park is a rental from DWP, are there issues with doing that? I guess
I have no
that's
idea.
the only one that I'm like, I don't know.
I
if
mean,
that-
I don't even know if it's people, like the people would even want it. I was just thinking that we could have more in-town camping, whether it be at the park or on somebody's. I was more of just a. I've been to other cities like Lander. You can camp in their city park. Moab has a campground in the middle of their city, so it's just nice to have some tent camping options.
Right.
In town.
Well, I mean, I guess the fairground does offer tent camping, and they're also on a DWP.
That's true. That's true. You're right. They do have that as well.
But yeah.
We don't need to submit. This was.
I was
more
just
me
curious. Yeah.
Being stream of consciousness, really.
I mean, I agree that it would be great if there were a centralized location where people could camp in town and then use all of our services instead of just dispersed camping and increasing trash and fire danger in our already sensitive environment.
I can modify that on submittal to make it a little more general around campground development.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a pit right by Starlight. I'm sure that'd be a great spot for a fully developed campground, don't you think, Elaine?
I'm certain I'm not the only one participating this evening in the meeting this evening from Starlight.
Anybody else want to comment on the items that were presented? Or Elaine, do you feel like you have direction?
Yes, I do. Thank you. And as Councilman Schwartz said, there will be a future opportunity for the council to have more structured feedback as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you very much. Okay, then we will move on then to item C, which is the last item in our new business this evening. And that's the Inyo County Consolidated Office Building Update Outreach Strategy for Vacant Buildings. And are we back to you, Elaine?
Yes, good evening again, Council. So the Council had requested that staff provide an update on the Consolidated Office Building, as well as a list of the locations that may be vacated when the county offices move into their new building, as well as maps. So I have included in your staff report this evening a list of the locations that are going to potentially be vacated. The county is not entirely sure at this time which ones they intend to leave or in which sequence. We are having conversations with Mr. Quilter, the county administrative officer, to understand their process and which buildings are going to be emptied. Right now it appears that their building is projected to be completed in spring of 2021, and then they'll move in shortly thereafter. So as I mentioned, we've talked with the county to see if they had any concerns about us reaching out to the property owners and starting to have conversations with them. The county was okay with the city being proactive in that regard. And so at this point, it's staff's intent to go ahead and do that, reach out to the property owners, talk to them about their plans for the future of these buildings, and the potential for renting them or selling them in the future. I would like to frame this conversation within the context of the downtown specific plan and the images that were presented earlier this evening, that rather than looking at this as necessarily something that's very negative on the horizon, it's an opportunity for the the city to maybe start to enact some of that strategic vision that we are working towards. So this is largely an informational item, just providing the council with information about which buildings are included on the list of current county leases or owned buildings. They're actually all leases with the exception of the one on South Street. At this time, I'd simply ask the council to provide staff with direction to move forward with contacting those building owners and working with them to help repurpose and revitalize those buildings in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elaine. Anybody have any direction, comments that they'd like to add at this time on this item?
I guess my question has to do, I mean, thank you for reiterating this information. I know we've seen it before, but and now that the time is getting closer for the transfer, I guess one of the questions I have is, do we actually know who the owners are? Because I mean, to reach out to them, we need to get a sense, or we need to know who they are so we can get a sense of what they're intending to do with the property. Because of course,
we can access the property owner information, yes.
Okay. And I mean, it would be great if we had, since a lot of these are in the downtown corridor, if we had some mechanism to ensure that there were some guidelines on what buildings would look like should some of them get torn down and then rebuilt or something like that. Because I mean, anybody who's gone to grocery outlet lately and they see that county building, there's one term that comes to mind for what it looks like. And I would hate to see those sorts of buildings to crop up in town as well.
Well, as I said in my staff report, we are working on a strategic vision, very fortunately, and hopefully as the timeline progresses, you know, I think we might be ahead of the ball on this one. So we will have some vision in place at such a time as the county has moved into their new building.
Elaine, I'm sure you would already do this, but just to mention that to these property owners that we are repurposing, like we're going through a master plan revision, and we would encourage them to repurpose their buildings if they wanted to reinvest in the town, and that this opportunity is available to them to turn it into commercial or residential, and I think instead of selling the building, maybe they would want to do something new with it.
I think, yeah, say there was like an investor who through Opportunity Zone needed to buy a building. This would be like 162 Grove would be ideal. So I'd like to make sure we get the potential buyers in touch with the owners, and let's see if we can move this along before it gets lost.
I agree.
The only other thing I would say is one of those buildings is actually ours, right? The sheriff's substation.
Correct.
Do we have any plans for what we would ideally want to do with it?
Indoor swimming pool.
If you got $1 million a year just in maintenance.
Destin told me it was going to be a roller rink.
I would love for it to be.
It's my understanding from Mr. Phillips that the courts intend to take over the balance of that building.
That's what I was going to say.
That's just as exciting. Okay. Anything else on this? So for now, that's great. We have the list, and we'll be reaching out, doing the outreach to the owners and letting them know what, some of our vision in the downtown area is. And anything else right now, Elaine, you're looking for?
That is all for now. Thank you.
Okay. We have one item under old business tonight, and that's item A, and that's discuss impacts associated with commercial cannabis facilities. And again, this is just receiving some further information that council had asked staff to present to them. We weren't really looking at, we're definitely not looking at making a decision on this evening or receiving, or, you know, a lot of discussion again on this item. We're thanking the staff for bringing us some further information that we have asked for. And I believe it looks like it's either Mr. Phillips or back to Elaine.
Excuse me, Mayor and Elaine, I just want to let everyone know that no public comments have been made in the last couple past items. Item
Okay.
11B or C, and so far nothing for 12A. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I will go ahead and provide a very brief update of the information that was included in the staff report. And if Mr. Phillips would like to add anything at the conclusion of that, I would welcome his input. At the meeting on August 24th, when we discussed the potential to bring a cannabis ordinance in front of the council, staff received direction to do additional research on a number of items. And those included getting information on the revenue that has been received by our surrounding jurisdictions, information estimating the cost to prepare an ordinance, information from other jurisdictions about enforcement costs where recreational cannabis dispensaries have been allowed, information from local veterinarians regarding animal consumption associated with dispensaries, information on the increases of children consuming cannabis, information on cannabis consumption in schools, a report on enforcement issues from other communities, case studies from comparably sized communities, and a creation of map indicating where the dispensaries can be located in Bishop under current state law. So I will go over those items briefly, starting with revenue from Inyo County, Mono County, and Mammoth dispensaries. The information is included in your staff report, but the range in revenue received was from approximately $28,000 a year to $300,000 a year, and that includes a combination of sales tax revenue and fees associated with permitting the business. With regards to cost to prepare an ordinance, it's a very rough estimate that includes staff time and the costs of bringing it to the Planning Commission, the City Council in the future, and the cost was estimated at about $5,800 to prepare an ordinance for the City of Bishop. With regards to enforcement costs, we did report on this at the August 24th meeting for Inyo County and the town of Mammoth Lakes. Then there have been no increases in enforcement costs associated with allowing dispensaries in those communities. Staff did reach out to the 3 veterinarian hospitals in the City of Bishop to talk to them about increases they may have seen in animal consumption. We heard back from the Mountain View Animal Hospital and the Bishop Veterinarian Hospital. They reported that there have been a couple cases a week, though those are primarily out of Mono County. There's no significant impacts to the animals. They usually just prescribe rest for 24 hours and occasionally provide fluids. The Mountain View Hospital mentioned that they do occasionally prescribe CBD products for certain animals. Staff also reached out to the Bishop pediatric offices. They reported that children have infrequently been seen for consumption of cannabis. They had larger concerns about the impacts of pregnant mothers consuming cannabis and the impacts that might have on fetuses and childhood development. They mentioned that should the council consider an ordinance allowing for recreational dispensaries, special consideration be given to the location, the appearance, and the signage of it to reduce visibility for children. Staff also reached out to the high school, and the high school reported that since recreational cannabis was legalized in the state of California, there has been a decrease in students who are using smokable marijuana and an increase in students who are using vaping pens or oils. And that's largely attributed to the fact that it's much easier to detect students who are using smokable marijuana, and so they tend not to. And the high school also expressed concerns about the appearance and the visibility of dispensaries. Chief Steck reached out to the California Police Chiefs Association to ask about enforcement issues from other communities across California, and reported back that there was no significant increases in crime reported. A couple of the cities he spoke to provided that within their ordinance, there were provisions setting aside funding for either a dedicated position to monitor businesses or a certain percentage of the sales tax to provide for training and equipment for law enforcement. And then finally, I have included as attachments to your staff report case studies from Shasta Lake, Blythe, and Grover Beach that are all approximately similarly sized communities and have allowed for recreational dispensaries in their communities. None of those communities reported any law enforcement issues associated with the dispensaries either. And then finally, I did also prepare a map that shows the approximate 600-foot radius from schools and daycares within the city of Bishop, where under state law, recreational and medical dispensaries would not be allowed. And I think I can share that with you. Just a minute. So here is the map that is included in your staff report. Obviously, the red indicates the 600-foot radius from the schools. And as you can see, pretty much the whole first block east and west of Main Street would currently be, it would be permissible to allow for recreational dispensaries along Main Street. I've also done an overlay with our existing zoning to provide a little bit of context if we were going to provide additional consideration to locations. That concludes my overview of the additional information that was requested by the council, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions on the information that Elaine has brought us this evening?
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment.
Okay.
Elaine, thank you. This is a lot of time that you put into this, and I really appreciate it. It was very helpful in learning about the other communities similar in size to Bishop. When the council rejected recreational marijuana last time, I was in the minority vote, but when it all said and done, I was like, well, you know, maybe we don't want to be first to the table with something like this. But now that we see other communities that have had experience with it, I would like to see an draft ordinance brought to us allowing recreational cannabis for the city of Bishop.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, Elaine, I really want to commend you on this report. I mean, it seems pretty clear that we all gave a bunch of direction to get a bunch of information, and you did it with you and Chief Steck did an amazing job with that. And I mean, it seems pretty clear from going over this report that a lot of the reasons that were used in the past to prohibit these sorts of things came about from fears associated with what it might bring. It's perfectly natural that us humans were scared of the unknown, and us humans being rational beings, we also hope that when the evidence is there, we can that'll assuage those fears. And I mean, it seems pretty clear that in the communities that have allowed it, these fears didn't materialize. So I echo Karen's sentiment on this.
I absolutely disagree with almost everything that you said, but that's not what we're here to discuss this evening. So if we're going to discuss that in the future, that's fine. But that is not what was reflected in a lot of the comments. But we're sticking to what the information that was brought to us this evening and just receiving that for now. So does anybody else have any comments or questions to Elaine at this time on the information that was brought forward? Okay, you feel good?
I have a question. Are we not allowed to direct staff to create a draft ordinance? Is that not allowed right now?
No, not at all. I think that if that's what you would like to have happen, that's Elaine.
But then it opens up, you know, are we going to vote on, you know, then basically it comes to a vote of saying we have a majority that want this to happen, and then we need discussion and all that. And so that's, I think, what the mayor's trying to say is this wasn't supposed to be the decision time or to give a direction, because I would agree with Laura and have lots of reasons, and they're not based on fear to anyways. So I'll let the mayor take it over.
Well, I mean, at any time, a council member can direct staff to, is that something that you feel, I mean, I'm sure Dean could probably weigh in on this, but, or Elaine, that you would be, feel like you'd be prepared to do at this time, or it's acceptable that this comes out of this discussion this evening, Mr. Pucci?
So before I do have a couple of comments, but before that, can I get Councilmember Ellis, who was raising his hand, to look like he would like to participate in this discussion?
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, I see your points as far as the discussion, but I want to say, Elaine, thank you. When this came before us in 2017, I was on the winning side of that and I thought we were ahead of the game. Because of a lot of what we have right here in front of us, these questions that were unanswered, unknown, it hadn't been done yet in a lot of cities that we could really pull the information out of. And I want to thank you, Elaine. Pretty much everything we asked for, you pulled out the information, and it gives us the roadmap and kind of the blueprints of how it's been done successfully, where the pitfalls are, where the concerns are as far as aesthetics and controlling what comes to our city. So I wanted to say thank you, because I will be with Karen and Stephen on here, and I would probably like to see it move forward into a draft ordinance status. Thank you.
I guess,
oh, sorry.
Sorry, I have one question, I guess, for Chris and Laura. Do you guys have any sort of issues with the research that has been presented to us?
I'm glad that you asked that, Stephen, because I actually have spoken with 3 local law enforcement officers significantly in our area, you know, recently on this, and 2 from Mammoth PD, 1 from Mono County, and they probably are a 180 on the information that we received. Why that is, I'm not sure, but if you want to contact a couple of the officers that actually deal with the dispensaries that are in, especially in the Mammoth area, then I would request that you, or just suggest that you talk with them personally. They're the ones out, you know, in the field dealing with it. So
Are they willing to speak on the record? Because how would I contact them? Do you have their names to pass on?
you know, there was one that wanted to, but he felt because of conflict that would not be good for him to do. And you can understand that if they're going to go against for whatever reason. I'm sure personally they would talk to you. I don't think they feel the liberty to be able to come on their own and speak like that.
I mean, it makes it kind of hard for me to reach out to them if I don't know who they are.
Well, if you know any of them at all, maybe you could, I didn't.
We can have them contact Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the same thing. They expressed, you know, that to make a statement and representing the police force and have, you know, maybe a varying opinion of people in rank above them puts them in a hard spot. But yeah, I think they'd be willing to talk to you, Stephen. And I wanted to say, you know, I wasn't going to bring it up. I've looked at other ordinances, and I mean, you know, we have a majority that wants a draft ordinance, so you know, I can't argue about that. But I did notice that only one of the Blythe example was the only one that had the 600 feet, and I was curious. I didn't get to look up the other Shasta Lake and Grover Beach, but there are other cities that have 750 and 1,000 foot setbacks for schools. And it's interesting to me that only, you know, these were put in there, because that would basically take them off of Main Street, which is one of my big concerns. Is it part of the vision of our downtown area to have pot stores? It doesn't quite fit with the all the buildings and the old timey feeling that we were all applauding, you know, in those sketches or those Photoshop pictures in the street. Anyhow, I'll just stop there because you guys know.
Well, no, I'm glad you brought that up, Chris, because I do think that if we were to have a draft ordinance, you know, I would want to see some regulations on how advertising is allowed. I'm not a big fan of the big marijuana leaf out on North Sierra Highway. So maybe if we had, you know, it have more of an upscale feel, like some of the shops that people have talked about they've seen in Portland or whatever, we could put that in the ordinance that they, you know, have modified signage, stuff like that.
You know, at this time, I think bottom line is like we have said, you know, 3 council members, Councilmember Ellis and Councilmember Mahovy and Councilmember Schwartz would like to see an ordinance or see an item brought forward, an agenda item brought forward. So obviously discussion will continue.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Oh yeah, please.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments. One is just a quick correction. I think I heard earlier stated that there were no public comments on this item. And maybe somebody can correct me. I believe that there were a public comment or 2 received, but they were repeat public comments from the last meeting. They are public comment on this item. And I want to make it part of the public record that they have been provided to council prior to this discussion. They will be posted publicly for the public. And I would ask Madam Clerk, after I'll give you some time to pull that, but just to indicate who the name of that submitting public comment, who submitted that public comment was. So no pressure right now. We can come back to that item. The second item, or the second question that's been presented really is, this is on council's agenda for discussion. It is entirely appropriate at any time during a discussion that any council member can essentially what's referred to as call the question if they want to. Right now, there is no vote required on this item. This is not an action item for approval or disapproval. However, any council member has the right to request that direction and firm direction be given to staff to do something. And that is what we are hearing. And there are two results that are two options at that point. One is simply we poll council, and I think Madam Mayor has already polled council and indicated what that poll would be. So no vote is required at this point. If the majority of the city council are giving staff direction to prepare an ordinance and to bring that back to first, obviously, to the Planning Commission, or maybe not obviously, but that would go to the Planning Commission first and let the Planning Commission make their recommendations to the City Council. It would then be brought back to the City Council in whatever version the Planning Commission sent that up to the City Council on. So if I hear no objections at this point from Councilmember Ellis or Schwartz or Mohovy, that is a direction that they are giving to council or would like to give to staff, then we have our direction. That does not short step any further public comment or public participation or council members' comments, either through the Planning Commission process or through the City Council eventually process. So if I don't hear any objections, then the direction to staff is going to be to prepare an ordinance for Planning Commission. I would imagine that prior to that happening, that there would be some other opportunities that we as staff will get together and figure out how that should happen to get a little more direction in terms of what that ordinance would look like that should go to Planning Commission. But this is by no means a vote at this point or an approval of the any ordinance. It is simply direction for us to bring an ordinance to Planning Commission and ultimately City Council. Those are my two comments, and I talked a long time, so Robin, or Madam Clerk, sorry, I will refer that back to you just for reading the name of the public commenters, please.
Okay, the name of the public comment received today was from Danny Longino, Longino. And I have it here if you'd like me to read it out loud.
That's okay. It was a repeat submission. Council has been provided it, and it's available for the public. Those are the comments I needed to make.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pucci. And I'm sure, like I said, we will have plenty of further discussion in the future. Okay, we will move on to future agenda items now. Does anybody have any future agenda items they would like to add to our list? Anybody at all?
The only thing I had is, and I guess it was echoed in some of the comment in the chat, is that we had given direction on the retirement health benefit, and I guess Ron says that it's not quite ready. So we've not forgotten it. That's what I want to make sure people know.
Okay. Anybody, anything else? Future? Okay. How about our council and committee reports? And we'll start with you, Karen, please.
Violin is being practiced in the background and my headphones aren't working, so I apologize if you guys can hear some violin coming through. But he's getting pretty good. All right. So I went to SCOG and we approved to enter a contract with Elaine Kabala as our administrative services contractor for SCOG. And some of the stuff that she will be doing is serving as the executive director by coordinating, overseeing, and managing all meetings. She'll be grant writing. She will research and report to SCOG on regional programs. She will help establish SCOG infrastructure to be a self-sustaining organization for regional, community, and economic development. So we are very excited that I think it's also going to benefit the city of Bishop greatly that Elaine is so integral in this regional cooperation Then the other thing we did is we worked on a resolution that will come back to the city of Bishop to approve. And basically it's to establish a program of work for sustainable recreation and ecosystem management. And then with ESTA, we discussed or learned that the ridership is significantly down due to COVID. We approved the Mammoth Mountain Ski Area contract, and we approved the facility and architectural engineering contract for their new building. And that concludes my report. I'm excited for Halloween. I want to thank the fairgrounds and the city for the hard work, and I'm really excited that Halloween will, I think it'll be fun. It's time to reinvent some of our old traditions anyway, and I'm looking forward to it. So that's all I have.
He does sound good.
I'm gonna mute us now.
I like it. It was nice background music to your talk, and at least somebody let me know earlier that I had the Rams Monday Night Football game on, and they weren't appreciative of that, but I do appreciate the violin music. I muted the game after they let me know, but I have been watching it. 10% of me has been watching it. Jim, do you have anything?
No. No, my apparently my little bar thing doesn't work, my mute button. Yeah, Karen pretty much summed up what we did on SCOG. Welcome on the team, Elaine. It was you'll do a great job for SCOG. On ESTA, to kind of go off of that, the signing with the Mammoth Mountain Ski Area, Phil did a great job in negotiating that. That was quite the feat, trying to protect everybody, and they're a corporation who doesn't know their future. And I think Phil did an amazing job there, keeping ESTA off as well as it can be. About a week and a half ago, I was with Chris Costello and the other candidates for the city council job through Sunrise Rotary. I want to say thank you to them and thank you to the other candidates. It was well done, great participation from everybody, including the audience. So I want to say thank you, and that we'll see the results here soon. And then happy Easter, or not Easter, Halloween. I'm done. I gotta hit the button. Yes, Karen.
Okay. Steven, anything?
Sorry, you guys are cracking me up today.
Oh, and last thing, Destin Deshawn and Public Works and Parks and Rec did an amazing job working with Caltrans and got us some trash cans out on Highway 6. And I want to say thank you for all the hard work that you put forth on that and trying to keep Bishop looking good. So thank you.
Okay. So we did not have an LTC meeting, but we did, as Destin mentioned, we did have a Bishop Area Wastewater Authority meeting. And after we got a quorum together, we actually had a full schedule. So we approved a budget. The only difference between what was presented to us and what actually got approved was a contract with Title 22 engineering support. So that Destin didn't have to reinvent the wheel, and Destin found us a really good deal for that. We adopted bylaws, and we actually appointed Michelle Rue as secretary to the authority. So all of the admin positions have ended up with the city, but it was a good meeting. And yeah, I just wanted to then also do another shout out to the trash eliminators, because it's looking great. And I do think it would be great if we could kind of adopt a something like an adopt a block program for within city limits, because I think that would be this has definitely demonstrated that we have so many community members that are willing and able to participate in the beautification of our town. And in many cases, a lot of people have just defaulted that to the city, but we can't do absolutely everything with our small budget. And so let's make sure to encourage that and actually come up with try and help out with a program for that. It'd be great.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll move on to Chris. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I really appreciated the forum that Jim was mentioning. I actually was really impressed with all the candidates. I'll probably vote for some of them. No, it was good. A lot of energy, a lot of positive thing, and really appreciated that even the new candidates who are running were for the percent tax that we're proposing and hoping passes for the election. So that was good. I was out of the area and didn't have any service, and so I apologize for missing the Bishop Wastewater meeting. Stephen reminded me of something when he talked about our volunteers that I want to just mention. It's already on a future agenda item, but the CERT program that the county actually has a lot of resources to do the training and to certify some of our public, our volunteers, is really something that has helped a lot of cities. Most of you know I serve as a disaster chaplain for Foursquare Disaster Relief, and I've deployed to about 7 disasters. And God forbid we ever have one in Bishop, but even in COVID things and smaller incidents in our community, to have a group of people that's gone through some basic training, and it's really not difficult. And we have a lot of people that are willing, and in emergencies, everybody wants to help. But if you haven't been vetted through this CERT program, then it's really hard to just trust that you can put somebody in place. But it enables the police, the city, the sheriff, all kinds of agencies to use volunteers who have had some basic training, and they can be sure that they're going to be a help, and that they're not going to hurt anybody. They've been vetted, all that stuff. Anyway, so just to add that, and I'd be happy to have Easter at our Halloween thing. So thanks, Jim. And I look forward to the trunk or treat on Saturday. Also, wanted to remind the council members that we have that invitation from the tribe to attend their event Saturday at 5 o'clock. No, at 4 o'clock, right? Yeah. 5 is the treat, 4.
I'll definitely be there. So
yeah, I'm planning on being there too. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Just super wonderful to see clear skies today. I mean, it took some dust blowing yesterday, but finally when the dust settled, wasn't it beautiful to see our mountains like they usually look? And so it looked beautiful. I know it's freezing now and the flowers will probably be on the downturn, but just again, all summer long, the flowers downtown, amazing, amazingly beautiful. And to see what all these restaurants that we gave the beautification awards to this evening and the great work that they've done. And, we look at the artist renderings and things that can be done in our city, but our city really is beautiful. And in spite of COVID and in spite of all the smoke, unprecedented amount of smoke that we've had a lot of people who still love to come to our area. And we just want to keep making it better and better for them. So everybody come out to the event this Saturday at the fairgrounds. It's going to be a lot of fun, and just be safe. And we're going to adjourn this meeting now until Monday, November 9th, 2020. Thank you so much, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Hi, Robin. I just wanted to stay around. I'm leaving now. I'll go have dinner. Good night, Robin.